This morning on Newsline, President's Counsel Kushan De Alwis commented about the constitutionality of the appointment of the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Let's listen to what President Counsel Kushan De Alwis had to say.
I'm of the view that the President was well within his powers to appoint a new Prime Minister, as I'm of the view that the Cabinet of Ministers had ceased to function with the UPFA pulling out of the national government, and accordingly I'm of the view that the Prime Minister will continue to hold office only during the period which the Cabinet of Ministers continue to function. Article 46(1) limits the number of Cabinet Ministers to 30. But Article 46(4) takes away that restriction in the event of a national government. Now, factually, the two main parties, that is the UPFA and the United National Front for Good Governance, got together and formed the national government. So therefore, the limitation of 30 cabinet ministers did not apply. And thereafter, last Friday, the UPFA pulled out from the cabinet, and accordingly, the national government came to an end. Therefore, the number of cabinet ministers cannot exceed 30. So the present cabinet, which was in force at that time, ceased to function. The claims of unconstitutionality is mainly based on an isolated reading of Article 46(2), which is just taken in isolation without going through the entirety of the Constitution and the provisions of the entirety of Chapter 8 and in totality the spirit of the Constitution.
Well, it's clear from what President's Counsel Kushan De Alwis said about the constitutionality of the appointment of the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. The Good Governance, the National Unity Government, was appointed in 2015, and because it was a national government, the provisions of the Constitution limiting the size of the cabinet to just 30 ministers was done away with. That is allowed under the Constitution. We must bear in mind that that election was not contested by the United National Party, but rather the United National Front for Good Governance. And one of its component members was, of course, the UPFA. The national government ceased to exist on the withdrawal last Friday of the UPFA from the national government. Therefore, the ability to have more than 30 members of the cabinet ceased to exist, because over 30 you need to have a national unity government. And with the withdrawal of the UPFA, of course, it had to revert to 30. Therefore, the Cabinet of Ministers simply ceased to exist. And it was then that the President, as per the Constitution of the country, decided to appoint a Prime Minister who, in his opinion, could command the majority in the House. That meant that why he did that was, of course, that when the UPFA withdrew from the National Unity Government, we had a minority situation. And with the ceasing to exist of the Cabinet of Ministers, because they had to be limited to 30, that also meant, as per the Constitution, that the term of the Prime Minister also ceased, meaning that President Maithripala Sirisena had to appoint a Prime Minister who, in his opinion, could command the majority of the House. And that is how the new Prime Minister came to be appointed to his position.